Hi everybody, this is Avrohom Czapnik from the Jewish Learning Exchange. I hope you and yours are well. Today is the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, Lag BaOmer. Lamed Gimel stands for 33. It's the 33rd day of Lag BaOmer, of the Omer, which we started counting from the second night of Passover all the way to the holiday of Shavuos, where we received the Torah. And the 33rd day is a significant day. First of all, the students of the great sage Rabbi Kiva from many years ago unfortunately passed away during the Omer because they didn't give enough respect to each other. And Lag BaOmer is the day where they stop dying, which is a special day. Another special day aspect about this day is that the great sage Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who revealed the secrets of Kabbalah to the world, Jewish mysticism, and brought a great light of Torah to the world. And his day of remembrance, the 33rd day of the Omer, is celebrated around the globe, especially in Miron, where he's buried in Israel, but around the globe with bonfires and singing and dancing, all because of the great light of Torah that he brought to the world. Now, in the portion, it does mention the counting of the Omer, and it talks about the major holidays, including Shavuos. What's curious is that in the midst of talking about the holiday of Shavuos, it talks about a law about leaving gleanings for the poor and the corner of the field for the poor of your field. So the poor can come into the field and take some of the gleanings of the wheat or things you're cutting in the field. Question Rabbi Simcha of Devinsk asks, the Meshech Chachma, the Or Samech, he asks, the author of those works, he asks an interesting question. Why smack in the middle of the holidays are you talking about the gleanings for the poor? And he gives a very powerful and important insight, which is very relevant for us today. And he says, many people look at religion as something the Torah talks about, esoteric ideas, relationship with God, but morality and ethics, that we can figure out on our own. But it's interesting to note, the major work of ethics in the Torah, Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, with 6 major chapters dealing with ethics, begins with telling us that Moshe received the Torah from God at Mount Sinai. Why? And the answer is because morality and ethics are actually not coming from ourselves. It has to come from the Torah as well, because otherwise there's great distortions. Rabbi Mordechai Kamenetsky brings an unfortunate and fascinating example of this. He talks about a man who managed to escape a death march, and he hid in a shed, and the German saw that he was missing and came back to get him. And miraculously, miraculously, a wild dog, a fierce dog, stood in front of the shed, was barking at the German soldiers and didn't let them in. So one of the German soldiers said, let's just shoot him and check the shed, see if the Jew's hiding there. And the other German said, have you no compassion? This is an innocent dog. Why would you kill the dog? And the Germans left, and eventually he was saved. The British came in eventually, and he was saved. Of course, what morality is that? Don't waste a bullet on the dog, but waste it on the Jew. Jew didn't do anything to you, innocent Jew too. And that's this warped sense of morality that many people have. Melanie Phillips, a non-Jewish famous journalist from Britain, said something very powerful. She said, for many liberals in the West who wanted to feel compassionate, the Palestinians were always looked upon as the victims. And then after October 7th, when tremendous brutality and horrific things were done, how do you justify that? Well, what you do is you just don't deal with it, and you pull down pictures of hostages that were all over the country. So you're pulling down pictures of men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong, just being there, because you still have to live with the justification of how you view the world, that the poor Palestinians are the victims. And if the circumstances don't fit your agenda, you just continue to have your morality. So says the Meshech Chochmah, that's why in the middle of the Torah, in this week's portion, teaching us about the holiday of Shavuos, when we got to Torah, it brings in about the gleanings and the corner of your field that you have to leave for the poor. To let you know, to remind you, morality and ethics comes from the Torah, is divine, and that's what we have to look at, not come up with our own theories. And interestingly enough, one of the other commentaries says, why do I have to have the poor people prancing in my field, getting the gleanings in the corner? Let me just give them the stuff. He says, yes, there is a mitzvah of tzedakah, of charity, but there's another mitzvah of not only giving money to the poor or food to the poor, but giving them some dignity as well. Let them work in the field and let them get the gleanings themselves. Don't give it to them, so that they have the dignity that they know that they're getting the food that they need. Not only the food, but also the dignity of working for it. So the Torah's morality is something that we have to strive towards and connect towards, and realize that our morality is going to be biased and tied to many, many external thought processes, but not necessarily to the truth of the Torah and God's divine will. May the hostages come home, and may the war be over, and God protect all of the Jewish soldiers and the Jews wherever they are in the world. Have a wonderful Shabbos. All the best.